Hi guys, welcome back to the podcast. It's me, T. You are listening to the Your Invisible Advantage podcast, and I'm so excited for today's episode because we are talking about something that every single business owner, creator business, personal brand needs to master. And this is something that is such an underrated soft skill that I think more people need to have the conversation around, because this is something that I see stopping so many gifted, talented people who have such a big mission on their heart to share with the world. And I wish that more people had these skills. So we are going to teach it to you today, and it is all about emotional mastery. So you've probably figured out by the name by now, if you've clicked on this, you're wanting to learn about it. If you are someone who is trying to get any type of visibility online, this will be for you, because this is going to be how the people who are willing to lead themselves are going to win. And we all know the internet is full of emotionally immature people. We have to understand that by now. So this podcast here that we speak about all things to do with content, building influence, building wealth, building authority, being an authority in your own life, building your confidence, building your competence, and helping your nervous system feel safe with the success that you want. So we talk about the psychology, the leadership, the identity, and the invisible forces of the human that are really helping you put the strategies in place. And of course we do strategy too, because I'm a bit of both. I'm a bit of a hybrid. I love the strategy, but I love the human. So you can't really have one without the other. That's what we explore here. So let's get into the topic for today. Now, if you have ever posted something online that you truly freaking meant, like it was from your heart and it felt really clean for you, you felt really excited to share it, you thought it out before you shared it, and it felt really alive, and then you posted it and you watched people completely miss the freaking point. They didn't disagree, they didn't challenge you, but they literally projected. They reacted, they were the tone police, they completely got what you were trying to say wrong, and they twisted your words to something that you didn't actually say. And suddenly you're sitting there thinking, shit, should I have said it differently? Well, maybe they're correct. Maybe I should pull back. Maybe I shouldn't actually say my opinions. Maybe it's not worth the hassle. Maybe I should just shut the fuck up, right? If you've ever done that, this episode is for you. Because what's happening is not a content or branding issue. It's an emotional preparedness problem that most people are never actually trained for when it comes to personal branding, business, and doing something that is important to your heart. Because you are going to naturally, as a human, close up your heart and stick strictly to strategy and facts that you cannot get wrong. Right? That's why your content is boring. That's why you feel bored by it and there's no aliveness in it. Because there's nothing you can actually get fucking put on the stake for, right? It's a survival mechanism. But if we can actually understand this is how magnetic personal brands get built, is we actually learn these skills. Okay? So what no one's going to tell you is the internet is not emotionally mature. All right? 99% of the internet. And if we don't understand that, we're going to keep interpreting other people's reactions as feedback about you, right? As feedback about you instead of information about them. Most online reactions aren't coming from adult psychology. They're actually coming from childhood patterning, and those people don't even know it. Okay? That's not an insult on you. They're not actually attacking you, what you're saying. It's an observation of their own psyche that they are now putting out to the world because they can't hold it internally. They need to put it out. Okay, so I'll give you a real scenario. Okay, you post a really grounded fucking opinion about money, leadership, relationships, business. It's something pretty neutral, right? It's not really that extreme. And someone comes and comments and says, this feels really privileged. Must be nice. This is harmful. Have you ever considered XYZ type of person, right? Now, an emotionally unprepared person does one of three things. They will over-explain themselves, they will defend themselves aggressively, or they will delete the post and retreat and hate opening up their phone because they're like, oh my God, what notifications am I going to get this time? Who is going to be swearing at me? Oh, I can't take it, right? I can't have someone else see that I'm getting attacked. All three are outsourcing self-trust. So what's actually happening is the person is not responding to you. They are responding to what your content stirred up inside of them. It is their fear, their comparison, their sense of inadequacy, their lack of agency. It's their past as well, their wounding, their experience. And they have to then tell you about their experience. They can't accept that you've had a different experience, because if they did that to an emotionally immature person, that would invalidate their experience. So they feel under threat. They're not doing anything quote unquote wrong. They are just in survival. Okay? And if you don't have the emotional mastery internally of yourself to know that, you will carry that for them. The people building really big, strong personal brands understand this, and they understand they cannot carry the emotional weight of every single person that follows them or that is on the internet. So the truth about leadership, when we actually look at what leadership is like, you are actually not here to be responsible for regulating other adults' emotions, but you are responsible for regulating your own. And if you want to be an influential person, this is a skill you have to learn. You are responsible for yourself. Influence isn't about being liked. It's about being stable even when you're not liked. It's about being stable even when people have different opinions. It's about being stable even when other people are reacting. And stability is what people will trust. If you don't freak out, they don't freak out, right? So that's going to really help you there with the responsibility around that emotional regulation. Micro example number 2, we're going to talk about visibility and money. So this is why so many capable people, yourself included, plateau online. It is not because they're bad at content. It's not because they don't know the strategy, but it's because every post feels so emotionally expensive for them. They're scanning constantly to try to get it perfect for who might disagree, who might misunderstand, who might get offended. So they literally dilute their perspective. They don't say the real thing they wanted to say because they're just filtering it through everyone else's perspective of, how can I say like the safest version of this? I'm still going to try to be a little bit sassy, but I'm going to tone it down a little bit, right? They dilute it. They say fucking nothing by doing so. And then it's just a beautiful piece of boring, flat fucking content. And then they wonder why people aren't feeling activated by them to move and buy from them. They wonder why they can't build that authority that they're seeking, because they themselves, as the person creating the content, are always emotionally bracing for impact. People can feel that. That is a weakness, right? That is a weakness. We can't explain it, but we can feel it when we watch someone's content. So what's actually going on underneath this is when someone strongly reacts to your content, one of two things are happening. You've challenged a belief that they rely on for safety, or you've mirrored a life they don't feel capable of creating. And that's not you being too much, right? That's about an identity threat on that person. And as I said, they're not doing anything wrong, right? Emotionally mature people, we can sit with discomfort. If you are emotionally immature, you cannot sit with that discomfort internally. And this is not to shit on those people. This episode is so that you can understand those people, right? Neither is better than the other, but if you have a really big mission on your heart, you cannot afford, it is so expensive for you to be emotionally immature as well and meet them there. Okay, emotionally mature people can sit with that discomfort. Emotionally immature people have to externalize it. Your job is not to contain yourself to make someone else feel comfortable. Your job is to stay so coherent with the version of you who is actually truthful about what she's here to say and do and what she thinks. So the standard that we have to hold, it's a relentless standard for authentic leadership in our businesses, in our content. If you want influence, money, and longevity online, we have to accept this. You should try to get people, I heard this the other day and I was like, that's brilliant. It's like, you should try to get people to hate you from the get-go. Not like intentionally try to rage bait people, but just really stand for what you fucking stand for, because then you never have to deal with this shit, because they're going to see one piece of content and just decide you're not for them, and that's good. Okay, so someone is always going to disagree. Someone is always going to misunderstand. Someone is always going to project onto you. That's not your sign to stop. That's not your sign to change anything. That's your sign to double down. Okay, that's the cost of leadership. And the question is, do you want approval Do you want to meet your insecurities, or do you want to work on your skills and do you want to actually be impactful? Because you don't get to grow both. All right. So what does being emotionally prepared for what business is actually going to require from you look like? It looks like posting without thinking about, okay, what fucking imaginary arguments am I going to get into in about 24 hours time? Don't even think about it. It's about letting comments exist without correcting them. I have a second account, guys, and there's been this piece of content that I've created where, I have in my vocabulary, I don't mean it in a mean way, but like it also is a little bit mean, where I'm just like, oh my God, what an idiot, right? And I did a piece of content and I was like, psychology of idiots. They do XYZ, right? And it was just like in jest, in good fun. I got slammed in the comments by people saying, you're talking about ADHD, you're talking about autism, and I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, I actually wasn't talking about any of what they're saying, but I don't feel the need to go and defend myself because I'm like, okay, cool, they're just going to misunderstand me. Even if I can't come back at them and tried to explain it to them, it's not worth my time. That is costing me money, energy, capacity, right? Let comments exist without correcting them. That shows a fucking powerful person, right? Because if you have to defend, then you think you've done something wrong. Who has to defend themselves? A person who's been charged of being guilty or not guilty, right? You don't need to defend yourself. If you choose to respond, cool. You can respond. You're allowed to speak up yourself. You're allowed to have a voice. You're allowed to back yourself, different to defending. And you can do that from choice. You respond, don't react, right? Let them react. You don't need to react. And knowing when silence is leadership and also when speaking up is needed, right? There are two different scenarios and you need to learn which ones, right? So it looks like understanding that other people on the internet's reactions are information about them. And that's okay. They're not an instruction for you to then go and change your behavior or change how you're showing up. So the people who are winning online with social media, with posting content, they get tried to be cancelled every fucking other month, all right? There's a dude right now who everyone loved 2 seconds ago who's now being cancelled, right? And it's just like, it's just going to naturally happen when you're someone of influence. There's always going to be something. So it's like, the people who win are not the loudest or the most defensive or this, that, the other. They're the most self-led. They don't collapse under criticism. They can admit when they're wrong. They can change their opinion. They can see another side of an argument and be like, yeah, good point. Yeah, no, I didn't have that nuance in my piece of content. Yeah, interesting. I actually like your point of view. You can see when you're wrong. You can see when you like someone else's opinion, even if you don't agree with it. That's emotional maturity, right? But we don't change ourselves under praise. So if we're getting praise for something, we don't then think, oh, well, we have to do more of that. We're just like, okay, cool. But then if we get criticism for something else, we're not like, oh, we'll never say that again. We're just like, okay, cool, they didn't agree with that. But I'm not just going to do more of the praise stuff because then I'm just a slave to my audience. And why would you want to sell your soul to that when we got into this business for freedom in the first place, right? So the people who are winning, they don't outsource their identity to the crowd, to what people want them to do, to what their audience wants them to do, right? They understand that the internet is a mirror and they refuse to fight their reflection. Let them fight themselves. Okay, so I really hope that this episode has been really helpful for you guys, and I really want to leave you with this. If you're feeling triggered by visibility, it's not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's a sign that you're being asked to lead yourself more cleanly, and then that's the work that you want to look at. Okay, you don't need thicker skin or to be fucking more confident or this, that, the other. It's deeper self-trust. That's the leadership work, right? Is deeper self-trust in knowing exactly who you are and building that emotional preparedness that I would love to say it's not going to happen to you, but like the fact of the matter is there's always going to be one. There'll always be a Jenny or a Sally or a Karen in the audience. There just will be. Or a Pete or a Mike or a Dave, right? They're just going to happen. If this episode has landed for you, I know that you are here to build something real, because you wouldn't even be asking like, oh my God, like, Am I offending someone? If you didn't care, I know you've got a big heart, right? But I also know that you don't just want to be visible, you want to actually be influential and change people's lives. And it only happens when you choose to change your own first and you choose to build those soft skills that no one really speaks about online. And this is the kind of leadership work that I really do with all of my clients to apply the strategies we give. So we do a lot of that hands-on strategy, but if the human doesn't have the soft skills to be able to pivot, adapt, have resilience, mental toughness, then none of the strategy really matters, because at the end of the day, this is the most important type of work you need to be doing as a business owner, right? Because we all have the information, we all know what to execute. That's not the hard part. And this is the type of leadership work, even in my content program and messaging positioning program, Brand DNA. I literally am making sure I'm doing this leadership work with people of not just teaching them how to post, but knowing how to become someone whose presence actually fucking commands attention and holds weight, because we're not trying to be liked. We're trying to change the way that people are thinking about themselves, and we are willing to be the villain sometimes. We just are. Sometimes you have to be, right? If you have loved this episode, please like it and share it. If this has helped you, I really hope that you go and work on building these skills and can understand where the people in your audience are coming from. I'm not saying you have to like it or love it, but at least now you can have some type of understanding and know that you don't need to change anything you're doing. You just need to let them continue to be them, because you're never going to change them. It's a waste of your energy. And you need to remember that they're going to try to pull you away. And there are all these little things out here. You have to stay zoned in. You have to stay right where you are. You have to stay on your path, and that is self-leadership. Don't change your path based on what other people want you to do. Self-agency is so important when you want to become someone who is commanding attention, influence, and making impact online. You have to choose to lead yourself always. So if you have loved this episode, please leave a review. Please hit that follow and subscribe button. It means the world to me. And leave a comment if you feel like you want to, or slide into my DMs and we can have a chat about this episode. I love you guys. Bye.